their tent ripped open, their shoes left behind. What happened in Colorado's Black Canyon that night was not human. At sunrise, the Thompson family was gone. The Thompson family, consisting of Father Mark, Mother Julie, and their 10-year-old son, Luke, were a family who loved adventure and camping in new places. This year, they decided to camp in the famous Black Canyon in Colorado. The scenery there was breathtaking, but it also had a reputation for being dangerous. Their adventure started out joyfully. Luke ran around happily while his parents set up the tent. They chose a spot near the edge of a cliff because the view from there was truly spectacular. Mark told his wife, "The view from here is amazing. Julie, I've never seen anything like it." Julie replied, "Yes, Mark, but I'm a little worried. It's too close to the edge." But Mark reassured her, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." What no one expected, however, was that the calm of the place would change at night. As the moonlight shone over the canyon, strange sounds began to echo. It was a whispering sound, like the wind, but it felt different. At about 2 a.m., Julie woke up feeling a tremor throughout the tent. Suddenly, she heard a heavy dragging sound from outside. She quickly woke up Mark, but when he awoke, the sound was gone. They both tried to calm down and decided to go back to sleep. The next morning, a hiker discovered a tent flipped upside down on the edge of the cliff, about 200 meters from where the Thompson family had camped the night before. The hiker immediately reported it to the police. When the police arrived at the scene, they carefully inspected the tent. Inside, everything was scattered. On the bottom of the tent, there was a pair of shoes that looked like they had been forcibly pulled off. Other than that, there were no traces of anything else. The Thompson family had completely vanished from the tent, making the case even more mysterious. What happened to the Thompson family? Where did they go? And what was in that canyon that caused all this to happen? The disappearance of the Thompson family became a major news story. The police, led by veteran Detective Sergeant Miller, launched a full-scale search and rescue operation. They deployed helicopters, drones, and search dogs to comb the treacherous terrain of Black Canyon. Yet, after 3 days, there was still no sign of the family. Sergeant Miller, a seasoned investigator with a knack for solving complex cases, felt that something was amiss. He revisited the crime scene, the flipped-over tent on the cliff's edge. The crime scene forensic team had already collected all the evidence, but Miller wanted to see it with his own eyes. The tent was an unusual type, a custom-made model that was more durable than most. This made the fact that it was ripped so easily at the bottom even more baffling. Miller knelt down and examined the tear where the shoe was found. The rip was clean and precise, not jagged as if from a wild animal or a struggle. It was almost as if it had been cut. He then looked at the shoes. The forensics report stated they belonged to Mark Thompson. They were well-worn hiking boots, but the bottoms were caked in a strange, thick mud that didn't match the soil composition of the surrounding area. The mud sample was sent to the lab for analysis. Sergeant Miller's gut told him this wasn't just a simple camping accident. This was a deliberate act, but by whom? He ordered his team to dig deeper into the Thompson family's background. Were there any enemies? Any financial troubles? Any strange acquaintances? Meanwhile, a local ranger, an old man named Sam, who had worked in the canyon for over 40 years, came to the police station. He looked uneasy. "Sergeant," he said in a low voice, "I heard about the Thompson family. They weren't the first. There's an old legend about this place." Miller listened intently. "Locals call it the Whispering Ledge," Sam continued. "People say that on certain nights, the wind carries a whisper from the cliff face. It lures people out of their tents and to the edge. They say whatever is there, it doesn't leave a trace." Sergeant Miller was a man of science and logic, not folklore. But the details Sam described the whispering sound. The disappearing without a trace matched Julie Thompson's account. "What is it, Sam?" Miller asked. "What's out there?" Sam's eyes widened slightly. "I don't know," he said, "but whatever it is, it's not human." At that moment, the lab results came back on the mud from the shoes. The report was even more shocking than the ranger's tale. The mud wasn't just mud. It contained microscopic particles of an unknown mineral, a type that didn't exist anywhere on Earth. Sergeant Miller now faced equally unbelievable possibilities, a strange local legend that seemed to be coming true, or a new, inexplicable element in the case. He knew one thing for sure: the Thompson family's disappearance was far from a simple camping trip gone wrong. It was something extraterrestrial. Sergeant Miller returned to the Black Canyon, this time with a team of geological and forensic experts, all under strict confidentiality. The bizarre lab results had convinced him to treat the case with a new level of seriousness. The experts were tasked with one simple mission: find the source of the strange mineral. They set up a perimeter around the Whispering Ledge, using specialized equipment to scan for any anomalies. For hours, the scanners showed nothing out of the ordinary. The scientists were starting to get frustrated, but Miller insisted they keep going. He was certain that the answer lay right there. As dusk settled, a young geologist named Dr. Aris became fixated on a small fissure in the cliff face, about 20 feet above the ground. It was barely visible to the naked eye. He used a high-powered thermal scanner on it and found something startling. The fissure was emitting a faint, but distinct, heat signature that didn't match the ambient temperature of the rock. Miller ordered a drone to get a closer look. The drone's camera showed a pulsating, iridescent glow coming from deep within the crevice. It was a light no one had ever seen before, a soft, ethereal light that seemed to change colors subtly. Meanwhile, back at the station, a junior officer was re-examining the video footage from the Thompson family's phone, which had been found undamaged near the campsite. The video was a simple recording of their family vacation, full of happy moments. But the last few minutes of the final video clip were corrupted. The officer managed to restore the video file, and what he saw made his blood run cold. The video showed Mark, Julie, and Luke sleeping peacefully inside the tent. Suddenly, a strange sound started to filter through the audio. The whispering sound Julie had mentioned. It wasn't a whisper of words, but a chorus of harmonious tones that seemed to hum in a mesmerizing rhythm. As the sound grew, a faint light began to appear on the tent's fabric, seeping through from the outside. The light pulsated, casting eerie shadows that danced around the sleeping family. As the light intensified, the camera, which was propped up on a cooler, began to shake. The sound of something ripping filled the air, followed by a gasp from Julie. The camera then fell over, pointing to the ceiling of the tent. The final moments of the video showed a swirling vortex of the same iridescent light that Dr. Aris had found in the cliff fissure. The vortex seemed to be pulling everything towards it, including the family. The last thing the camera captured was Luke's small shoe being tugged violently towards the center of the light. Just before the video cut out, Sergeant Miller received the call from the station. The pieces of the puzzle were finally fitting together, but they painted a picture far more terrifying than any crime he had ever investigated. The whispering sound wasn't folklore. It was a form of communication or a lure. The strange mineral was not from Earth, and the vortex of light ... It was a portal. He looked at the small fissure in the cliff face, and then at the vast, empty sky above. The Thompson family hadn't been killed. They had been abducted. But by what, and to where? Sergeant Miller knew he was no longer investigating a missing persons case. He was the first human to ever stumble upon a secret that could change the world forever. The search for the Thompson family was over. Now, a new mission began, understanding the mystery of the Black Canyon and the extraterrestrial presence lurking within it. To be continued. Sergeant Miller, now with a team of top-secret government scientists, established a temporary command center near the Whispering Ledge. The fissure in the cliff face was the center of their attention. Dr. Aris and his team, wearing specialized suits, carefully approached the glowing crevice. They deployed a small, remote-controlled probe equipped with a camera, a sensor suite, and a sample collector. As the probe entered the fissure, the camera feed showed a tunnel unlike anything on Earth. The walls were smooth and obsidian-like, radiating the same eerie, pulsating light. The probe traveled deeper, the light growing brighter until it reached a cavernous chamber. Inside, floating in the center of the chamber, was a massive, crystalline structure that hummed with energy. The structure was a breathtaking sight, but what truly stunned the scientists were the objects floating around it. They were personal items: a child's teddy bear, a woman's scarf, and a man's wallet. The probe's sensors confirmed the heartbreaking truth. These were the personal belongings of the Thompson family. As the probe got closer, the crystalline structure pulsed with a new intensity. A holographic projection shimmered into existence, showing images of the Thompson family. They were not scared or in distress. They looked at peace, almost mesmerized. The images showed them walking, talking, and interacting with strange, ethereal beings made of pure light. The beings communicated with the family not through sound, but through a form of telepathy. Their thoughts translated into a beautiful symphony of colors and emotions. The beings were not hostile. They were collectors, guardians of life. They had been observing Earth for centuries, drawn to its unique biological and emotional complexity. The Whispering Ledge was their doorway, a portal to their own dimension. The whispers were not a lure, but a form of gentle, nonverbal invitation. They were looking for beings with a deep connection to their world, those with pure hearts and a sense of wonder. The Thompson family, with their love for nature and each other, fit the criteria perfectly. The tear in the tent wasn't violent. It was the precise act of the beings opening the way for the family to enter. They took the family, not to harm them, but to study them and share their own wisdom. Suddenly, the holographic projection shifted to show Sergeant Miller and his team. The ethereal beings were aware of their presence. A final, powerful thought was projected directly into Miller's mind. We have not abducted them. We have welcomed them. They are safe. They have found a new home. Sergeant Miller's mind raced. The Thompson family was not missing. They had transcended. He looked at the scientists and then at the fisher. This was not a rescue mission, nor was it a criminal investigation. It was a moment of choice for humanity. He had the power to reveal this truth to the world, to share the existence of a new form of life and a new way of being. But he also knew the fear and chaos it would unleash. The world was not ready for this. Miller made a difficult decision. He ordered his team to retreat and to erase all evidence of the discovery. He wrote a final report, a lie that would be filed away forever. The Thompson family's disappearance remains a mystery. Search efforts have been suspended. The truth would remain a secret, buried in the heart of Black Canyon. Sergeant Miller was no longer just a police officer. He was a guardian of a cosmic secret, a silent witness to a new chapter in human history. The Thompson family had found their new home among the stars, and the Black Canyon would forever hold its ethereal secret, whispering its ancient song only to those who dared to listen. Yes, that is the end of the story. The narrative concludes with Sergeant Miller's final decision to keep the truth a secret, leaving the Thompson family's disappearance as a mystery to the public, while he becomes the sole keeper of the extraterrestrial secret of the Black Canyon.